welcome to episode 47 of the Tea and Possibilities podcast. I'm Nikki, and this is a podcast all about knitting and crochet and making all the things here in East London. You can find me online on Instagram at hippie_Nikki. I'm Nikki Hippie on Ravelry, and if you search for Tea and Possibilities under the groups tab on Ravelry, you will find our group right there. I post quick links to everything I mention in the description box below, but if you would like full show notes, I host those on my blog. A link to that is also just down there. Today's tea is green tea. I really enjoy having green tea in the summertime. It just feels a little bit more refreshing, and I just associate it more with like sunny, beautiful weather, which is currently what we're not having. Last weekend was absolutely beautiful. It was really warm. I actually got some sandal tan lines on my feet, but today, not so much. It's a little bit grey, a little bit overcast. I actually went for a run this morning with a friend of mine, and it was actually the perfect weather for that because it was nice and cool. It wasn't too warm, didn't rain, so yeah, it might not be glorious sunshine, but every cloud. I did post on the Ravelry group about why I had been away, and I will talk a little bit more about that in Knit and Natter if you are interested. But yeah, life's just been a little bit hectic, and I really wanted to film this weekend because I know I'm actually away for the next 2 weekends. I am in Portsmouth both weekends, and I'm not going to get a chance to film until the second weekend of July, and I didn't want to leave you guys hanging anymore. So even though I've not got tons to share, it was just nice to come and hang out with you again. So let's move on to Whipped Up. I am actually super proud of the fact that I got through that intro so quickly. I thought I would stumble a lot more because I'm out of practice, because it's been a few weeks. But I actually got through it fairly quickly. I only had to redo it once. So I guess after 47 episodes, you just have it down. Now I have lots I'd like to talk about, but I haven't got lots that I have been working on. My knitting mojo has been pretty low. I can't remember if I mentioned it on my last podcast or not, but where I had been running a lot, I ended up with an injury. I very stupidly got some brand new trainers and went for a walk in them, and because they felt great, I decided to run a 10k in them, and they're super structured trainers designed for long distance running, and really needed a good break in before I did a long run in them. So I kind of had a sensation like a pinched nerve for a couple of weeks, so I just kept off of my running and out of my trainers for 3 weeks. So I was a little bit grumpy for 3 weeks, and that combined with a few other things, I don't know, I just felt I would just sit on the sofa and just be a bit grumpy, and I didn't really feel like knitting just because I felt in a general funk. And it's only the last couple of weeks as I've been running again, and as I've kind of felt like I've been getting back in control of everything again, that I have been knitting. So the sock that I showed you in the last episode, this sock, I have been working on its pair, and I will fish that out and show you now. So I've been carrying it around in the bag that Rachel of the Crafty Historian made me. It's my perfect handbag, project bag at the moment really, and here it is. There you go, I am just on the foot at the moment, and I know that I got all of the striping done on this one, and then a little bit more of the spotty white before I did the toe decreases. So I think I'm going to get this finished this week, which means I can get a pair for Rich cast on. Now, in case you missed the last episode, this may look a little bit strange to you. It is in the Arnie and Carlos Regia Perfect yarn, and long story short, I knit it backwards. I was supposed to pull from the centre of the ball, and when I did, I just ended up with a load of yarn vomit, and I didn't want to have to deal with it, so I thought I'll pull from the outside instead, which meant that I was knitting, I was knitting from the toe. So there's like a great deal of pink at the end, so that, you know, however long your foot needs to be, there's plenty there to knit the rest of the foot and the toe. But these stripes are supposed to be the heel. This kind of spotty bit here was supposed to be for the foot, so it's just backwards. I've made them to match, so hopefully no one will notice. I have to say that these do fit a great deal better than the original pair I knit out of the West Yorkshire Spinners, which I always have to say so slowly. West Yorkshire Spinners. I did that in the blue tip colourway, and I went down the needle size, and I just pulled on the first one I knit, and it is a lot closer fitting, but it's not quite got that kind of socky, like, cinchiness. So I think the next pair that I knit for myself, I'm actually going to go down stitch count, because I'm quite happy with the needle size I'm using. I think any smaller than that would be a bit too hard on my hands. So at the moment I'm knitting a 68 stitch sock, so I think I'm going to keep to the needle size and go down to 64. So I'm going to give that a go. But the next pair I knit I think are going to be for Rich, because I did promise him a 30th birthday pair of socks, and he has chosen his colourway, so I need to knit him like a test pair, and then I'll knit him his actual birthday socks. But it is so good to have socks on the needles. I have been able to, even when I've been not feeling very knitty, I have been able to just pick them up and just go, because I don't really look. So I knit on them while I go to the cinema. I really see what people say now about them being great cinema knitting. And I knit on them while I'm just at home. If I get a seat on the tube, which is very, very unlikely, I do knit then as well. So they're really handy, and as I said, I'm going down to Portsmouth the next couple of weekends, so I really want to get this sock finished so that I can get a new one cast on and just go. I'm also considering getting a second pair of needles. I prefer fixed circulars for Magic Loop, so I'm thinking of getting a second pair of needles so that I can always have two socks on the go, because it's kind of annoying if you're staying with friends and you hit the part where you need to turn a heel, because I'm not good at turning a heel without kind of video support just yet, and it also takes a bit of concentration. So I think it'd be great to have a second pair of needles, so I can just have a, you know, oh, I've got to the heel, I'll put that away, and I'll just keep knitting on the leg. That is the plan. So I just need to pick up some needles when I can find some time. But next up is a languishing whip project. It's living in my Spool Stories bag, and you may recognise it. Ta-da! I have a hoe! This is my Boo Mitten that I had planned to make my nan for Christmas, which is terrible because it is now June. And I just couldn't get it right. I couldn't get it right, and I kept on picking it, and I, in the end, just put it down. And I picked it up again recently because I would love her to have a nice warm pair of mittens for Christmas this year, for winter, I should say. And I finished it, and I'm not unhappy with it, shall we say. So before we dive into any details about this, this is the Boo Mitten from the Boo Mittens Club by Skein Deer Knits, and it is knit out of the Swedish knitter in their Spartan DK base. And the grey is London Fog, and the red is Samarkand, I think is how you pronounce it. All the info will be on the screen. But let's start with the positives about this. I am a beginning colourwork knitter, and as I said, I've pulled it out so many times to try and make it work, and in the end I just decided I can't keep pulling this out, I'm just going to finish it and see what happens, because I've got no idea how well this will block. I haven't blocked it yet, but I am so proud of the colourwork on the palm. This is so smooth, it's not lumpy, look how gorgeous that is. I am so proud of this. And the same for, you know, the thumb. I'm really proud of the thumb, which is a bit sad, but I'm so proud of it. The issues that I have come on this side, because you can probably see it's super lumpy. Like, it is so lumpy, it's unreal. And I'm hoping this is going to block out. I am hoping this will block out. And if not, then I have learnt that I need to ease up. I think the difference between these two sides is because this pattern was so regular, the spacing was a lot more regular than on this side because this is more of a picture, whereas this was very much a kind of geometric pattern. So I think I just found it a lot easier to keep my tension and my floats even on this side, whereas this side I did not. It does fit, I should have gone up a needle size, I think, but my nan is quite a bit smaller than me, so I'm hoping this will fit. Again, I'm hoping it will grow a little bit in the blocking. And actually when you wear it, it's not too bad. It does pull out some of the lumpy bumpy bits. And it is so warm. It is so warm. So I'm just hoping that when, when she goes out and she's shopping and, it's cold and, she's running out to do errands and things, that these will just be a nice little winter warmer. But I think for a first attempt, and for someone like me, who never thought that I never thought I would ever do colour work, and I'm certainly not at a point where I want to cast on a colour work jumper, just because I don't think I'm good enough yet. I see a lot more mittens in my future because these are ideal for just practising. And I have the Boo Mitten Club, and I think I am going to knit the Isolde Teague mittens that I've got. I believe they're called Millet, and I bought the yarn and the pattern for them while I was in Edinburgh. And I'm going to knit those, and then I'm going to have a go at some more Boo mittens and maybe a colourwork hat as well, because I've got quite a lot of Rowan balls that I found when I was sorting through my stash, and I have found, I believe it's called the Happiest Hat. I found that online and I think that's really cute, and I'd quite like to do a colourwork hat. So I want to do the colourworks, I do, but I'm going to stick to these smaller projects before I venture into anything as big as a colourwork jumper. I realised I was waving the completed mitten at you and hadn't actually said I have started the second mitten, and I'm hoping that this will be a little less lumpy than the first one, but I almost don't want it to be too much less lumpy because then it will look really weird. I am using, so there we go, just so you know, I have done the wrist. I am just starting on the kind of hand part. So I'm hoping to get that done by the time I podcast again. It's definitely not an on-the-go project, so this is very much something I do in the evenings. I will not be taking this away with me because it would make me super antisocial because I still have to concentrate quite hard. I'm using my Leica fixed circulars, which I love. These are so lovely to work with, and as I was saying that I'm planning to get another pair of size 2 needles, not size 2, 2mm. I wonder if I might get these for my secondary sock needles, because I really do like them and they're very nice. So there's a lot of hype around these. I really like them. I think I would really like a set of them, but at the moment I'm quite happy with my Chalgu set, and I don't need a second set of needles, but yeah, I quite like working with these. These are really nice. So yeah, it's probably going to be a very short episode this week because I have really only been working on those 2 projects. I have put a couple of stitches into my granny square blanket, literally only a few, so I wasn't going to show it to you, but I think I will, because why not? So I'm keeping it in this bag. I think I got this from Knitsomniac Designs years ago. I think it was my first ever project bag, and I'm keeping it in here. I'm still on my magic ball that I made, gosh, weeks ago now, months ago even. It's gotten quite a bit smaller, but it's still quite a way to go before I finish up this ball. And this is the progress on it. So I finished, when I say that I didn't do much work on it, I really, really mean I didn't do much work on it, because all I did was finish this blue stripe and start this kind of Painting the Roses Red colourway. I say that, I think it is actually Painting the Roses Red by My Mama Knits. I think that's the one. I would have to check my Cozy Memory Blanket notes to be sure of that, but I'm 90% sure that's what it is. And I really enjoy working on this. It's very mindless, and looking at it now, I'm not sure why when I didn't have any knitting mojo I didn't just get this out, because it's gorgeous. Speaking of blankets, I have got so many minis at the moment, and I really want to pull out my Cozy Memories blanket and start working on that and adding squares here and there. However, I also want to clear my whips a little bit. So I want to get my Boo Mittens done. I want to get my little watermelon booties done because they got completely dropped when I lost my mojo. I want to get my pavement finished, and I want to get a really big chunk of work done on my Kerrytown pullover. And I know that if I don't actually sit down and work on these things, they're not going to get done. I also have my secret project that I have yet to start on, so I need to get that going. So I almost kind of feel like, Cozy Memories, I just don't have time for you right now. So my plan is, as I think I said in the last episode, to get all these small bits and pieces off the needles, and then I can pick up my big projects again. So I can start adding squares to my Cozy Memories blanket. I can start getting my pavement finished and getting my Kerrytown finished. I put them down because I just wasn't feeling them at the moment. You know when you do a lot of work on a project and then you're like, okay, done now, don't want to look at it for a while. And now I'm really craving to get back to them. So I want to get all the little ones off the needles and focus on my big projects, including blankets. I do have one more thing to share before I move on to Knit and Natter, and that is some really, really lovely posts that I received this week. You may remember I went to Fibre East last July, and there I came across Paper Stories yarn, which I thought was beautiful. They have a lot of Harry Potter colourways and it's just gorgeous. However, I even then was trying to only buy when I had a pattern in mind so that I didn't end up with too much yarn. As I've said before, I live in a London flat on a London budget, so I don't have much disposable space or income just to buy pretty things. So I very much kind of went, oh, it's so beautiful and I can't get what I want, but it's fine. And then the lovely Polly behind Paper Stories got in contact with me and asked if I would like to receive some Pansy Parkinson yarn, which actually weirdly was my favourite colour, which I never thought I'd say. So that was all decided, and the yarn never arrived, and I just thought, okay, well, you know, she's very busy, I'm not going to chase on that. And then a couple of weeks ago I got a message from her saying, I'm so sorry, like this parcel has just arrived back at my home, and it had basically gone missing for 9 months in Royal Mail hell. I don't know where it was, but it didn't get to me. And Polly was very kind and she sent it out again. I was absolutely mortified because I thought she had done this lovely, lovely thing in sending me yarn and had probably thought I was really ungrateful and hadn't said thank you. So when she offered to send it out again, I was so grateful, and it arrived last week or early this week. I can't remember. It arrived recently. And it was the most beautiful parcel. Not only had she sent me beautiful yarn, but she'd also included lots of Lush goodies. You know I love my Lush. I don't have those to show you because they are all kind of like put away in my bathroom, but there was some beautiful soaps and some lovely body moisturisers that I hadn't tried before, which is awesome. And funnily enough, I am trying to use soap more than shower gels at the moment because we are trying to reduce our plastic. So that was a really, really good thing to receive. But I know you're not here to hear about soap. You're here to hear about yarn. And look how beautiful this is. So this is Paper Stories. It's their 4-ply fingering weight. I love my blues, I love my greens, and I don't know if you can see that there, but there's a shot of green there. I love my jewel tones. These are just gorgeous. I am definitely going to knit myself a pair of socks out of at least one of these. And I think I want to do something quite cute and lacy with like a little cute detail on. So maybe one will become Hermione's Everyday, and maybe another one will have a little lace detail on it. I've seen some really cool socks, and I can't remember for the life of me where I saw them on Instagram, so I can't actually remember who the designer is, so it's going to take some digging when I want to cast them on. But somebody has designed some really cool fraternal socks where they're not identical, but they're similar enough to make a pair. and I think they would make really, really beautiful socks out of this colour. So I just wanted to say thank you to Polly of Paper Stories for sending this in the first place and for resending it when it came back to you. I really, really appreciate that, because that, I don't even know what happened there. I don't know where it went. But now let's move on to Knit and Natter. So this episode, I just thought it would be good to have a chat with you about what I've been up to. Because as I said in the Ravelry group, I was going to take a couple of weeks off for various reasons. The first being summer is an incredibly busy time. Last weekend I was due to podcast, but Rich's mum came to stay, so I wasn't able to podcast. The next couple of weeks, as I said, I'm going away. We will be away for a couple of weeks in August. So there's just not really a good way of sticking to schedule over the summer, because everyone wants to get together, everyone wants to take advantage of the beautiful weather to have weekends away. So it doesn't always work out in the summer. It's a little bit like Christmas, but like on a longer scale. So on a really positive note, I've just been really busy doing fun things, which is great, because it's a phrase I hear often on the Knitmore Girls, which I really love, which is that you have to fill your bucket. Your bucket has to be full in order for you to be able to give to other people. However, much as I have been doing really fun things and I have been, cheerfully chatting to my friends, life has also been a little bit crazy. So, as I said, I recently started a new job in April? Gosh, yeah, it feels like forever ago, but it was only in April. And alongside that, I have a little bit of a side hustle, doing some freelance work. I actually recently freelanced for Love Knitting, where I used to work, and if you get their emails, you may have seen me there, kind of helping them out with their Indie June stuff, which has been a lot of fun. It's great fun to work with people that I used to work with, which is awesome. And yeah, I've been doing a little bit of freelance on the side. Alongside that, I've also been teaching on a Saturday morning. So at the moment, that's 3 jobs that are on the go. And although my freelance and my teaching do not take up anywhere near as much time as my day job, that's a lot. It's still a lot. I still come home in the evenings and work. I do work over the weekend. And particularly when I wasn't able to run, I, oddly enough, felt like I was on a treadmill that I couldn't get off. Ironically, running has really helped my mental health by forcing me out of my head and into my body. It has really boosted, as I've said before, my body confidence, and has just kind of kept me sane when I've been super duper busy. When I wasn't able to run, I lost that, and I started to feel incredibly out of control in all other areas of my life. And I just wanted to share that, because I know that I've been kind of very open about the fact that I am a planner. I plan things quite far ahead in advance. I use my bullet journal, and even I can get overwhelmed. Even I can kind of lose control of one little plate, and it can bring the whole lot spinning down. So it was really, really good to take a step back to go, actually, I'm not going to try and podcast on top of all of this, because frankly, I'm not knitting enough. So what would I talk about? And also because it was one less thing that I had to worry about. I never want to sit down in front of this camera because I have to. I want to sit down in front of this camera because I like chatting to you guys. And I just felt really grumpy for quite a while. So poor Rich, who had to live with me being so grumpy. I'm starting to feel a lot better now. I am running again, as I said, and I am managing my time a lot better somehow, despite the fact that I've added in running again. I don't quite know how that works, but it seems to work. One of the things I really let slide during that time was my bullet journaling, which is never a good sign. When I let my bullet journaling slide, it's always a sign that there's something else going on. So I'm starting to get back into that, which again makes me feel more in control. So I am working on it. It is a case of just keep showing up and keep working and keep trying. Something else that I am working on at the moment, which is quite time consuming and has probably slightly contributed to that overwhelm, is I am clearing out our flat. So, well, not just me, both Rich and I are clearing out our flat. When we moved from Portsmouth to London, we only packed what we wanted to keep. So we gave a lot of stuff to charity, and we still had a lot of stuff. And a couple of weeks ago, I read The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up. I think that's what it's called. It's about KonMari, and it's the book that swept the world like 2 years ago, and I'm, as ever, late to the party. And it made a lot of sense to me. It kind of sparked something inside me. It sparked joy in me, because I thought how amazing to have so much less, but all of it be stuff that you love. So I decided that this is what we were going to do. I have KonMari'd my wardrobe. Rich has done his. You may have noticed that the book backdrop is a hell of a lot more tidy than it was. So we've gone through all of our books and only kept the ones we love, which is, to be honest, mostly reference books. I tend not to read books more than once, so I am going to start going to the library a lot more. I use my Kindle a lot more, because it means that now I have more space. There is loads of room at the bottom of this bookcase now, where I can put tubs with my works in progress in, with my fabric in, and Rich has got space to keep his beer brewing things. We just have a lot more space. So it's still a work in progress. We have done, as I said, clothing, and we have done books, but we still have, I can't remember what she calls it, kimono, something like that, which is basically all the little bits and pieces. So that's our next step. It's going to be a while, because as I said, we're away for a couple of weekends, but we're working on it. We're working on trying to reduce what we have, so that we can reduce the time we have to spend tidying it. I'm trying to streamline my life a little bit, make life a little bit more straightforward, so it frees me up to do the things I love to do, so it frees me up to knit, so it frees me up to see my friends. So I actually have room to unpack the blooming sewing machine that I've been threatening to get out for how long now? So as soon as we have space on our table, which is currently full of stuff, I will be able to sew. So yeah, I just wanted to share that, because as I've said before, I am a planner. I plan as far ahead as I can, but unfortunately I've taken a real wobble with that recently, and my kind of monthly, quarterly goals have kind of slipped just while I've been kind of doggy paddling to keep my head above water. And I wanted to share that because everybody gets it. Everybody suffers from overwhelm at some point, and it's just a case of figuring out what you need to do. And to be honest, maybe I could have left the whole clearing out the flat thing, but sometimes self-care is doing the work. I really love self-care as a long hot bath with a good book. The Immortalist by Chloe Benjamin is my current go-to. It is amazing. I love it. Really good. But if when you get out of the bath there's still a pile of washing and there are still boxes of things you need to take to the charity shop, you know, you're kind of undoing the relaxation you did. So sometimes self-care is about doing the bad stuff as well, is about making yourself a little bit uncomfortable for a little while for long-term gains. And that's what I'm working on at the moment. So I hope you will bear with me while I try and balance my summer social schedule with trying to get my kind of flat organised and everything running a little bit more smoothly here at Tea and Possibilities HQ. So maybe just try and remember that when you look around and you find yourself comparing yourself unfavourably to others. None of us are doing as badly as we think we are. And on that note, I'm going to go and finish my tea. I'm going to have a lovely lunch. I'm going to edit this podcast, but I am not going to put myself under any pressure to get this up for Monday morning. I hope you won't mind that. But we all have to try our best, and sometimes our best is giving ourselves a break. So I will see you in a few weeks' time. I'm hoping to have oodles of mojo and oodles of finished objects, But if not, I will be here anyway because I really enjoy just chatting with you guys. So have a lovely couple of weeks and I will see you soon for another cup of tea. Take care. Bye.